Welcome back, everybody. It's Jack Graham along with John Pedersen for, I don't know what this is, John, 120 something,
121.
120
Wow.
first podcast of We Talk Photo. And today we have, we've done so many of these that we're starting to have some repeat people back who we really enjoyed having on. And today we have a really, really special guest. And, we have this list. And I ran into Rick in the airport about a week and a half ago in Sitka, Alaska, of all places. But we talked a little bit, and we agreed that Rick agreed to come on with us. Thank you, Rick. But Rick Sammon is here with us from New York. Rick, welcome. Thank you for being here and taking some time. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you. It's so great to see you up there. I had a
Yeah.
great time. I know you had a great time. The bald eagles were great. We didn't see too many whales, but anyway, it's good to see you guys again. And thanks so much for having me on the show. I think it's going to be a lot of fun as always.
Yeah, we were lucky. We there was a whole pod of orcas, and I was
Aw.
told it was earlier than that, and they popped up and down, and they actually kind of danced like the Rockettes. So like six of them got up at the same time, and
Oh man.
yeah, it was a gift. But it's such a beautiful place up there. We all found ourselves taking landscape shots from the boat.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was just glorious, and no, it was a good time. It was good to see you in the airport, and I'm glad, there's a reason for everything, and kind of that's what precipitated getting you back as soon as we can. And um, so what do I mean, we all kind of know each other. We run into each other in the field, and we kind of know what each other's doing. But the folks who are listening don't. So what do you to tell everybody what you're up to these days?
Well, I'm up to like a lot of things. Uh, Yeah, I ride my bike. I ride my bike every day. I go walking every day. I take a nap every day. I have happy hour every day. And in between that, I think this year I've recorded for Kelby One with the live classes. I have about 5 or 8 classes. I have a new book out. It's called How to Make Money When You're Sleeping, which is my
I actually have that book. I
Is
bought
that well?
I bought one.
Well,
It's a
you
great
should.
book.
I would have sent it to you, but
No,
yeah,
no,
how
no.
to make
No,
it, it
it's a great book, and I'm not sleeping a lot anymore, so it's really
well.
helping.
Well, it's about passive income, and I got the idea from Warren Buffett. As you guys know, every successful photographer out there is a good business person.
Have to be.
Yeah.
Moose Peterson, good business person. Art Wolf, good business person. You guys, great business people. You have to be. So I follow the business stories all the time, and Warren Buffett was quoted by saying, he said, if you don't learn how to make money when you're sleeping, you're going to have to work until you're dead.
Yeah.
And well, so I got the idea for this. So it's all about how photographers can generate passive income, whether it's through affiliate programs, whether it's through like programs like Buy Me a Coffee, doing online classes, writing books. So this is really the key. So, like I said, I'm a specialist on it. So why this is why I can go bike riding and take a nap and have happy hour.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you have to do it. The stock business, as you know,
Oh,
is gone, and
yeah.
the print business, everybody can take the photograph now. They think so. The
Yeah.
print is not what it was. So I mean, we have to. I mean, this is our business, and this is what we do.
Mhm.
And
Well, as Jack and I were talking earlier, it's just multiple income streams.
Oh,
You-
well, you're right.
Yeah,
This
I
is the
mean,
key.
passive or actively, it's still just multiple income streams because any one of them in the photography business today doesn't support living.
Mhm.
So you have to combine multiples of these to make it go as a pro.
Well, you're 100% right. It's like your investments. You don't want to just invest in one stock. You don't want
Right,
to just have
right.
one bond. So I tell people my specialty is not specializing because I diversify. I do studio photography, I do landscape, I do travel, I do this, I teach, I write books, I do podcasts, I do online training, I do private lessons, I do workshops, do photo tours. So you have to diversify and get into AI and understand AI, which is, I know, a controversial thing, but it's here to stay.
Yeah.
And when I got into AI, this could be a whole podcast.
good.
and I don't know if you guys saw it, but in last August, 2023, when I started posting AI pictures, some well-known pros called me names that I wouldn't even
Oh, I
repeat.
missed that. I didn't see that.
I wouldn't even
Yeah.
tell Jack at the airport in Alaska. It was so bad. Now it's calmed down, but the thing is, they didn't understand it. They say, "Oh, Salmon, you're ripping off. You're ripping off." If I post a picture of a zebra by a watering hole that I created in Mid Journey, oh, you're ripping off someone's picture. They didn't understand that no way on the planet are you ripping off someone's picture.
Oh,
That
and
is,
you're saying what you did. Yeah, I mean, it's not,
I
you're
always do that.
you're not trying to, if you go back to Art Wolf's book, was it the one
Wild
with
things,
Yeah, no, the
migrations.
migrations, right?
migration? I
Yeah.
mean, he and Galen got into it for forever, going back and forth. And Art said, "Here's what I did. I cloned zebras in this picture.
Yeah.
Okay, what? Just say what you did. Have fun. Have a good time."
Well, that's it. You have fun. These people, you mentioned the stock before that, that the stock business, John mentioned that the stock business is dead. It is. And the people who are worried about AI are the stock photographers and the art designers. Because, I could type in, black and white picture up in Alaska with the whale's tail with the water dripping off it, with the out of focus trees in the background and nice waves. And, and a professional photographer in a maroon t-shirt with glasses, and it would do it.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
say, my mother said honesty is the best policy, and this is really true. I think we have to say it, but it's just like the only people who care about noise in a picture are are professional photographers. No one else gives a damn, right? So it's the
Right.
same thing about
Well,
AI. No one cares if it's AI. It's
Remember when HDR got really popular, when it was
oh
really
yeah,
before the software was really good,
yeah,
and people were up in arms about that. And I tell people, if you read the history of photography, when color film
right,
appeared, it was blasphemy. They were
yeah.
almost riots. It was like the Rite of Spring with Stravinsky. People were screaming about it. And they said, "How could this be? It's an abomination."
Yeah, it is. But Rick, let me just ask you real quick. I mean, without going too deep in the AI world, where's that? Is there a distinction for you between photography and digital art? And do you think about those things differently when you're doing photography versus AI creation?
Well, to answer the question, kind of like so for like Susan and I actually have a book on AI. It's called, you can look it up on Amazon. It's called Wild Wanderers, and it's about like different chapters. Like we have animals from Africa in Antarctica. So we have Antarctica icebergs with the animals on it. We have animals from Costa Rica, up in Maine, and so we transport all these animals. And the book has a conservation message because we talk about how the animals, adapt and what to these different environments, what they learn in the different environments. So on the front of the book, it says an AI wildlife fantasy. Okay. So when we're
Yeah.
doing that, I think about that as AI. So there is distinction, of course, because after I published that, Susan and I published that book, every time I publish a picture like the bald eagle picture I sent you, people say, "Is that AI?" So they're kind of teasing, but they're also trying, right?
Hmm.
Well,
So, but I
again,
don't really, it doesn't really matter. If someone likes it, they like it. If they don't like it, and if I could just throw one more thing in here, people who are against AI, I say, well, then you hate Eric Clapton and you hate Santana, because if they unplug their guitars into their artificially intelligent amps and computers who generate sounds that sound nothing like the twanging of a string on a guitar, you should be against all AI.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, again, John, good point. We don't want to beat this up, but once this AI thing calms down, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's going to settle itself, and it'll figure it out.
right.
You do what you want. Say, "Here's what I did." It could be photo art. It could whatever you want to call it. Here's what it is. If you like it, good. If you don't like it, I have other images you can look at.
Again, it's only the people like about the noise. The only ones who care are photographers. My neighbors down the street, they don't care if I have a picture of a bald eagle created in AI or this, or or if I spent, a week in Africa and 3 days to get a week in Alaska and 3 days to get there.
But the reason these commercial guys are upset about it is it's going to put some people out of work.
Well, it's going to put a lot of people out of work, but if you don't understand it, then you're going to be totally dead.
Well, they should read your book on how to make money when they sleep.
They should.
That would solve the problem. Okay, so what you're finished with what you're doing. You're like you're like James Brown, man. You're like the hardest working guy in this business. Yeah,
I feel good.
yeah,
There we go.
yeah,
Well, I you know what the thing is, I think it might be chemical.
yeah.
I'm not kidding, because or it's something else, because I can't wait to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
I jump out of bed, I have 47 next week. I'll have done 47 Kelby 1 classes in
Wow.
16 years, and
Wow.
I want to go down there next year, record 3 classes to have a total of 50. I have 44. Oh, here's the book, by the way.
Yep.
I have 44 books. And for those who are listening, I have a lot of publishers. My best publisher is Amazon.
Yeah.
This is so profitable. If people have a book idea, they could just go on, just do a search, publish your book on Amazon, on the Kindle store. You get 70% on the book. Now, they don't give you an advance, but they give you 70% of a book. And you could check every day. Like if you bought a book,
That's what you get from a publisher.
it's way more. And you could check every day. And if you guys bought 2 books right now, I'd go on the Kindle app and I'd see it right away. So you could get addicted to that, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
But you could. So I would recommend for your listeners, if you have a book idea, publish it. I know a guy who could put it together for you. He charges me, I think, $1,200 to put together, the whole book. All I do is I send him the pictures, the text, and the pictures, the text, and the cover images. He puts it together. 2 weeks later, if you don't do a lot of editing, it's on Amazon. No, so I have 5 books on Amazon. That's my new publisher.
Yeah. Why not?
What? Well, why not is right. I mean, your pictures do, as you guys know, your pictures do you no good sitting on your hard drive. I have a lot of hard drive in those cabinets
right.
behind me, but what good are they? So if
Yeah.
I have an idea, I'm going to do a book, and if it doesn't do well, I'm out of a few bucks.
You
But
know what else? It's good for people to do projects too. They can do a little, and it doesn't have to be a thick book. They could do a 20-page book, a little nice little book, and
that's right. Right. Look, it could be you're right. It could be a 20-page book that you sell for $2.99.
yeah.
And the thing is this, for your listeners, cross promoting is really good. So like in my Kelby 1 classes, I promote my books. In my books, I promote the Kelby 1 classes. In my books, I promote my other books. In the
Yeah.
books, I promote the workshops. So cross promotion is really, really important, as you know.
Well, you know what I think this comes from, Rick? You and I, I made a living for about 20 years in the music business in New York, and the gigs that we like to play, the jazz gigs and the cool rock stuff that you did and whatever. You had to play crap jobs to be able to afford to play the good stuff.
Well,
And I'm not saying writing a book and doing Amazon's a crap thing to do. I don't mean that, but you have to do other things in order to be able to travel and go to new places and function as a working photographer. You just have to do it.
Jack, this is exactly the advice I gave my son when he complained about one of his early jobs. He's a Harvard professor right now, so it worked out. He teaches finance. I'm glad he didn't follow in my footsteps. But I told him when he was growing up, I said, Marco, you have to do what you don't want to do the things you want to do.
Exactly.
You think Art Wolf just well, maybe now he can, just flies around the world and takes pictures? This guy works his butt off, right? I think he told me once he works on like 7 books at one time.
Yeah, we had him on about a month ago. I think he's working on 4 books now as
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I think working on a book is having a goal is really important.
And
My
a
wife,
project
my
is-
wife and I talk about this all the time. So many photographers and some of your listeners may be in this boat. They don't know what to do with their pictures. I know a great photographer. She does lives not far from us. She never looks at her after a trip. She doesn't look at her pictures for like months. She doesn't know what to do, or So I think having a book, having a project, having a website, doing something with your pictures to share, and I think sharing on social media is really good because you get feedback.
Well, I don't know about you, but I started doing this before the internet. And it was a minefield. And there's so many ways to do things. And in that book, and it's a great book, and everybody should have that book to make money while you're sleeping, because it's a Bible. I mean, I'm telling you, it's
Thank you.
you've done the legwork for people. I mean, you have.
Well, I've been around a while, like you.
Well, no, but I mean, what you've done is you've told people how to do this, and you've saved a lot of time, people a lot of time. And it's really a good book. So, okay, so books, workshops. What are you doing in workshops?
Well, they're kind of like photo tours now, going to the high Arctic with Poseidon Adventures. I'm the photo pro, one of the photo pros. Going to Antarctica, Falklands, and South Georgia later this
Hmm.
year. Going to Mongolia. Going to Eric Kuna from Kelby One is doing a Milky Way workshop out in the Badlands. That'll be fun.
Wow.
So yeah, I like to keep busy. I'm not the guy who's gonna sit. You are never gonna see me on the beach in Cancun
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
margarita.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You'll
I
see me at the bar. You'll see me at the bar with a
I
margarita.
don't think there are a lot of people like us that, I mean, we have to go, I mean, we get cooped up. You're writing a book. I mean, you get cooped up in the office for a couple of days. You're probably like a caged
A
animal.
little crazy.
Well, actually, I like writing. I think writing is a perfect thing for a neurotic person because you could sit there all day and talk to yourself.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Mhm.
That is true.
No, but I do like writing. People say about my books, they say, "Oh, it sounds just like you," and I don't try to be pretentious, use big words or anything. I just write like I talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, right from the heart.
So, iPhone, you're doing some iPhone things?
Yes, actually, last year for the first time, I took the iPhone only to Morocco and got amazing pictures. I have an iPhone site. It's called the iPhone Photo Experience.
So you took a whole international trip and the only camera you brought was the iPhone,
Yes,
just to reinforce that point.
yes.
Yeah.
And again, if you go to the iPhone Photo Experience and click on a Morocco gallery, so people thought I was nuts, but they really thought I was nuts when I went last year to South Georgia, the Falklands, and Antarctica with only my iPhone and my Samsung S23. And the reason I took the S23 is because it has a 10x lens. So on that, it's a 230 millimeter lens. Now, even if the animal, so if you get a full frame shot, with 230 with the upsizing programs now, I can make that 460, right? With the upsizing programs, it's amazing what we can do. And I got some shots down there that people were really surprised that I got with just these smartphones.
Are you still a Canon shooter?
No, I switched to Sony. I upgraded to Sony when I was up in Alaska. People think I switched because the autofocusing is like super with the bird tracking.
It
Like
is.
I think it's superior to some cameras out there.
I-
But the uncompressed raw files, the picture that I sent you guys earlier of a bald eagle with its talons out, which was
Yep.
banded, had escaped from a rehabilitation. Oh, they released it from a rehabilitation center. That animal filled about 10% of the frame. And with the upsizing programs and everything, I just made a 17 by 22-inch print on my Epson printer over here.
I heard that Canon and Apple are either they're working together or they're talking about working together. And I think if Apple works with a Sony or a Canon or a Nikon, and really, I got to tell you, a couple of years, the camera systems that we're carrying around, the non-iPhone camera systems, This may be the last one I ever own because it's going where you're taking, where you're.
The Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra with the 10x lens is amazing. Now, what's really interesting is the Galaxy S24, they took out the 10x lens. I don't know why they did it. They said, oh, the customers didn't need it. But I have the reflex lenses, the 2x lenses for the iPhone that screw on. And those reflex lenses are really good. But unless you go into Alaska to photograph bald eagles, like when we go to Mongolia this year, only the iPhone and the S23. Go to Antarctica again this year, iPhone. Well, because the animals come close in Antarctica, as you know.
Right.
So I think for wildlife and sports, people are going to need the big cameras and the big lenses. But what we're doing, and we went to Cuba. We went to Cuba with only the iPhone.
Probably a good move.
Oh, it was amazing.
Security was, you know.
No, Cuba was amazing. Again, on this iPhone photo experience, if you go to the Cuba gallery, there'd be no reason at all to take a big camera.
Well, the other thing too is it's less intimidating for the people.
Well, that's an excellent point. And also with the iPhone, the wide angle lens, to refresh my memory, is a 13 millimeter. So you have I have just the 14, so I have 13 to 77 millimeters. What else do you need for street shooting?
Yeah.
Right.
No. Yeah.
So the lesson in all of this is it doesn't really matter what kind of gear you have.
Well, John, you still have to take the picture.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the gear, you're right.
But it's up here. It's up here. It's the 6 inches.
And we would talk, well, you know what Ansel Adams said? He said your best accessory is the 12 inches that's behind the camera.
Right.
Right. But, we were in Alaska and it was really funny. I told all the people before, practice. I practiced photographing squirrels in my backyard. I photographing Canada geese, on the pond in our backyard and by the river. I went to the Bronx Zoo and practiced. And my camera, my Sony A1 and 200-600 millimeter lens became like a point and shoot camera.
Yeah.
And for the first 2 days, I would say several people on the boat missed the shots because they didn't practice. And you have to practice. And then it was really interesting. One guy was getting great shots and he had like the top of the line, Canon camera. And another guy was there and he didn't have the top of the line camera. So he said to the guy who had the top of the line camera, he says, oh, when I get back, I'm going to order that camera because you're getting great shots.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's practice.
No, people are right. People get frustrated with their gear and they should get frustrated with themselves.
Yeah.
Rick, when I was playing the trumpet, I used to go down to Jordanelli's on 46th Street to buy valve oil and stuff, and I walk in and I use the same mouthpiece I used in 11th grade to the day
Right.
I go in there, the kids are trying new mouthpiece and stuff. I want to try this one. I look, I said, what are you people doing? I said, use your mouthpiece at work. Go home and practice. You're wasting your time here. How do you get to Carnegie Hall, Rick?
Yeah, you practice. You play trumpet? Do you play or did you play a Dexter Gordon Song for My Father?
It's Horace Silver.
Horace Silver. Sorry. Yeah, Horace Silver.
He was on a record.
What?
Yeah, he was on the record. That song is one of the highest sampled tunes in the history of music. Hip hop guys have sampled that like crazy.
I love playing that. I think I play in F.
I couldn't remember, but
yeah, I play in F and it goes down.
Practicing.
It's great to jam to, right? It's one key.
Yeah. But you got to practice.
Well, you do, and when I go away, like on that trip, I lose my calluses. Yeah. But anyway, people probably aren't interested in that. But the point is, you have, what? I have a fighter pilot friend. He's a Top Gun instructor. And he talks about being in the control in the cockpit. You can see my hand, right?
Right.
Yeah. And he says, okay, you're in the cockpit and you're flying an F whatever it is, F-18, I don't know the numbers, and you're flying upside down or whatever, and you have 8 buttons on the thing. And if you're looking out the window and looking at your radar, you can't be looking down to see what button you're pressing. So this is a Top Gun instructor, and now he's a great photographer, Hal Schmidt. So he says it's the same thing with your cameras. You have to know your machine so well that you could just concentrate on what Edward Weston said, composition is the strongest way of seeing. And
Last podcast we recorded, we talked about that, John, remember the other day?
Yep.
And I always make the comment, when a pianist sees, like in the third line, there's a crosshand coming up, you think
Yeah.
that, oh my God, there's a crosshand. No,
No.
they know what's coming up because they practice. It's second nature. You have to be in the creative zone. You can't be worried about how the rest of the stuff
Well,
looks.
along this note, because I really love talking about this, I think photographers, and I think I never talked about this with Art Wolf, but I think he might agree, because he's an unbelievable wildlife photographer. We have to be like fortune tellers,
Yeah.
right? We have to be able to see into the future, like what's
Yes.
gonna happen. And like with the whale tail picture, you knew the whale was gonna go up. You probably wanted the moment with the drip and stuff like that. So, and that comes by practicing too. The other thing I think we need to have is what's called situational awareness, which is what the fighter pilot, my friend, also talks about. That, he's in the cockpit, he has to be aware of everything.
Yep.
And if you're photographing on that whale's tail there, you also have to be, I'm sure you're aware of that there might be something going on in the background behind you. Or you have to be listening. Listening is one of the things a lot of photographers don't do, and that's a key, right?
Right. As you were talking, Rick, about situational awareness, the one thing that also clicked in my head was that if our brain power is directed at using our camera, using our
Yeah.
tool, trying
Yeah.
to figure out how to get this setting and that setting and everything else, we don't have enough computing power to have situational awareness. We're focused on our camera, not our environment and our subject and the stories that are being told in front of us.
Right.
So another evidence for practicing and developing muscle memory and all that kind of good stuff.
You have to put the time in, because what do you
Yep.
want to do when you go to Alaska? You want to have fun.
You want to enjoy
Right.
the experience. Yep.
But, along with the practicing, taking pictures, I think we also have to practice in Photoshop and Lightroom to know, okay, if I'm photographing that bald eagle, I know I have to underexpose a little so the white feathers aren't blown out, but I know I could do this and that in Photoshop and Lightroom, blur the background, use the clone stamp tool. So we really have to not only practice taking pictures, we have to keep Ansel Adams used a creative visualization, you know.
Mhm.
He looked at a scene and said, okay, I know I'm going to do this. I know I'm going to do that. I know I'm going to do this.
Yep. Okay, so iPhone, when you do, on your work, do you do specific iPhone workshops a lot, like you did in Alaska, just a few?
Well, Alaska was actually, the big camera,
Yeah.
photo tour. But yeah, I do private lessons here in New York. And for the Kelby One, they just finished an iPhone photography conference, and it was one of their most successful conferences. They
Hmm.
do Lightroom conferences, they do Photoshop World, they do wildlife conferences, they do gear. So to your point, Jack, you said before that this might be the future. So many people are interested in learning how to take pictures with their smartphone.
John, of all the workshops that you and I have done now together, of all the people that were there, I guarantee you that 90% of them had their iPhone in their pocket and were taking maybe documentary photographs
Oh,
of stuff
uh-huh.
when they really, if they knew what they were doing, could have really maybe taken really better photographs.
Well,
Oh
look at
yeah.
NASA.
I still remember when we did one of the Cat My Bear workshops, there was a woman that just had nothing but her iPhone and it
Yeah,
worked just fine on.
yeah. I think she was from China. Did she come?
No. She was American with her husband, but the animals were so close that and the iPhone just did a wonderful job. So that's what she shot with.
Well, the new one with the 5x lens is good. I would have bought it, but I'm waiting for, I really wanted the 10x lens.
Yeah.
So what's in the future, Rick? What are you gonna where are you gonna be 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I'll be 78. So, I hope to be doing basically what I'm doing now.
Wow.
Me too. I'm a year. Believe it or not, I was born in 52, so I'm
Yeah.
maybe a year younger than you.
Yeah, yeah.
But, people ask when are you going to retire, and I kid John all the time. So if something comes up, I go, I've had it. This is it.
Yeah, that's what he told me today. I'm retiring.
Yeah. But then something happens and you get all invigorated, and I've got John's going to be an Olympic next week. I got something kind of I can't wait to go again.
Yeah. Well, I
it's
think we need diversity in our life too. Like I said, I ride my bike, I walk, and I row every day in the pond. And but I take pictures, I play music. I just think diversifying it's good for the mind, body, and soul.
it is. It is. It is. It is. John,
All right.
what are we leaving out?
Well,
John,
what I want to know, Rick, since you're a big music guy, what's your desert island album? The one album that you would bring on a desert island?
Well, right now I play in a lot of bossa music. I love bossa nova music. I like the Latin music.
do
So
you listen to records at all?
me?
LPs?
Listen to vinyl?
No.
Okay.
I had a collection. I'm sorry I got rid of it, but I had a collection.
They,
Now everything's on Spotify. But
they just repressed the original Gets Gilberto
oh, really?
on 45 RPM on vinyl, and it is unbelievable. I listened to it.
Really?
It's quieter than a CD. It's unbelievable.
What
And
what's the song? What's the song? I know he's known for a girl from Ipanema. D- Des the song
it's a phenomenal.
yeah, with the raw it's about
Yeah.
playing the wrong note, right?
Yeah.
That's
Well, that's one note samba,
yeah.
but you got Decifrano, Corcovado,
Yeah. I love
but the
that music.
sound on that record is so good.
Yeah, yeah.
So good. John,
So yeah.
this podcast, we've matriculated it to something fun.
I know. Now it's a music podcast. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
look how many Ansel Adams played piano. Scott Kelby plays piano, guitar, drums. Tony Sweet is a drummer.
Yeah,
Tony
but
Corbell.
hey, Tony, if you listen to this, don't take it personal, but drummers, no. I give him a bad time. Tony's a great guy. I love Tony. We gotta get Tony on too. We
Yeah,
should we should have like an all musician podcast, John. We should get all these guys on.
That'd be fun.
that'd be-
We could have like the all
Yeah, we've talked
all
about that,
photography workshop quintet.
Rick. We've talked about that in the past with others. Just the correlation between music and photography, and just this act and sense of creation is very similar.
Well, you know what it is like if you're playing a jazz tune, you've got the song, okay,
Yeah.
which is what you're looking at, and
Yeah.
then you do whatever you do, and then you blow on it, and you play jazz on it, and when you create a photograph, you're taking that song and interpreting it to what you wanted, the story you want to tell. So the correlation is amazing, and that's why so many musicians, and we could keep going. There's quite a few have turned into be good photographers.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I always do tell people what we do. What when we're taking a photograph compared to becoming a concert pianist or
Oh, yeah, right. It's easy.
believe me, what we're doing is really easy.
Well, I
Mhm.
used to be able to play, believe it or not. I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston, and although I was studying jazz there, we played classical. I used to be able to play Prelude in C sharp minor by Rachmaninoff.
Yeah.
He had big hands, so I could play it because I have big hands. Dun, dun, and he would do this.
Yeah.
Actually, he would write songs that were really hard for other people to play. He like put this big stretches in there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. But no, it's just that the correlation is
Yeah.
amazing. And I think you have to there was a consortium they did at, I believe, MIT, somewhere up there. I don't think it was Harvard, it was MIT. And they took like a bunch of jazz guys. Matheny was in there, a bunch
Yeah.
of jazz guys, and then a bunch of classical guys and some other. And they found out that a jazz player or some of the rock players that improvise, they're one of the few people in creative environments that are able to use both sides of their brain at the
At the
same.
same,
There's very few people who have, perfected that, and it falls into that musician thing. And I think photographers have to do that. I mean,
yeah,
you have to use both sides of your brain, and it's hard.
that's a good, very, very good. I never thought of that, but that is an
And,
excellent
and,
point,
it- and
Jack.
it's practice. We go back to practice.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Hate to beat a dead horse, folks.
yeah.
But how many people do you see that come on a workshop that haven't held a camera in 2 months,
Or show up with a new camera in a
or
box.
a brand new
Oh,
camera?
yeah, yeah.
I love it.
You have to practice. You
Yeah.
can't. Bill Fortney tells a story that somebody walked up after one of his talks and said, "I love your work and I love the way you teach. Can you mentor me?" And Bill said, "How old are you?" And I think he said, "I'm 80 years old." And Bill says, "You don't have the time." And it wasn't negative, but
Yeah.
everything in creativity and art, I don't care if
Yeah.
it's cooking or writing or whatever, it's a factor of time.
Yeah.
And you have to have the time to practice.
Well, that's the whole idea of Outliers, right? The book Outliers,
Yeah.
the 10,000 hours.
Yeah, and that's about what it is. By the way, 10,000 hours is 50 weeks a year, 2 weeks off, at 40 hours a week. So
That's
that's
a lot of practice.
10,000. I did the math. It's 10,000.
That's good. Good
Yeah.
for you, Jack.
10,000 hours. What can we tell the folks
Yeah.
that we can help to contribute to the? I always say the Rick Sammon retirement fund, but he'll retire, so I don't
He's
know.
not
Yeah.
going to retire.
You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
Uh,
thank you very much. Just Rick Sammon, SAMMON, ricksammon.com. And if they want to check out the iPhone site, it's the iPhoneexperience.com. And yeah, they could just Google me. I'll show up.
yeah, and
Yeah.
folks, get that book on making money. I'm telling you, he has done the legwork for you. Tells you how to do this. It's like a recipe. You could spend 10,000 hours doing this. He's done it for you. I'm telling you,
Yep.
it's amazing.
Well, thank you.
Well, yeah, John, I think any old business?
No, I think we've hit all the topics that I wanted to cover today, Rick. It's just been a joy having you on. Thank you.
Yeah, we got to do this again, and maybe this idea. Maybe we get Tony on.
I love that idea. Yeah,
I
have
have
a
some
Zoom
other
thing.
people. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can have some other people. We can sit around and talk
Yeah,
about.
let's get Scott
about
back
her.
on and
Get Scott Kelby on too, because
We've had Scott on.
you get him back and
Yeah.
it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
we'll give that project to Jack. Give him something to do.
Okay.
Pull that together.
But didn't John Barkley? I forget what he played. He's another guy that plays. I think he's another guitar player, and I think he's quite a good one.
Yeah, I think so.
So we'll work on that. It's going to be it's going to be hard to find, Rick. It's going to be hard to find a bass player.
I play bass.
Oh, you do?
Oh, I have a Fender jazz bass. That's what I play most now. That's why I like bossa nova. Bossa nova, it's the root in the fifth, mostly.
It is.
And the right,
Yeah.
and the ghost notes. You know the ghost notes.
Yeah.
Playing the ghost notes is the key. I think when I was studying bass, when someone told me about the ghost notes, he said, "Okay, if you learn how to play ghost notes, you could send the drummer home because you get that right. You get that percussion in there."
Yeah.
So
It's a little sound. Well, listen, it's good having you.
thank
folks.
you.
When we're done, Rick, don't leave. I have to talk to you for a minute.
Okay.
Folks, if you have any questions, comments, whatever you want to do, it's at wetalkphoto@gmail.com. And until next time, John, be careful up in the Olympic Peninsula.
You betcha.
I hear Sasquatch is out, so
Yeah, it is. It is. You bet.
it is.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening. Rick, thank you for being here, and I hope everybody has a great day.